3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 9.
Balls deep.
And I will apologise straight away because I'm bunged up with cold, and there's nothing worse listening to, a bunged up cold voice.
You've got some diseases. I'm looking forward to hear about your weekend, and if it's nothing short than sexual scandal, I'm walking out of my own house here.
Right. Dom,
Right.
Good news. We've got another sponsor back on the pod this week. So Sean Austin from tracktoys.net. So that's www.track-toys.net. And obviously when someone sponsors the podcast, I get them to send a little blurb in, something to read out. And his read that they didn't want me to waste time reading an ad. They just said, put some effing cheddar in the swear jar. But
obviously listen to the show. This is great.
But he said, check out their website, tracktoys.net. They feature race bikes for sale across the UK and North America.
And
so
we've actually checked out the website, and it is
cool, isn't it? There's some trick bits of kit there. Like
it's unreal. The thing is, though, right? Anyone can sponsor these podcasts. You know what I mean? Even if you want a cat and you want to sponsor after the cat, if it's called TobyLickMeFaceKitten.com, whatever you want to call it, and you can sponsor the pod, which is awesome. But these lot don't seem to be messing about, mine. When you check their website, they are not hanging about. They sell a fair few bikes, mind.
So just big shout out to them. Thanks very much for supporting the podcast. And also we've had a very generous donation from a guy called Phil Kemp. So
he's a good lad.
He's decided to make a monthly contribution to support the podcast, which is extremely generous of him, and I would just like to say I really, really appreciate it. Not necessarily advertising a business or anything, but just wants to financially support us, and I think that's really obviously very nice.
Well, that's it. He's just a fan who wants to keep the podcast going. Now I'm actually worried that we're going to run out of crap and this bloke's going to want his money back.
Do you know what someone mentioned on Twitter the other day? They said something like, if you put a pound in the swear jar every time Dom says he's a lovely, lovely man, then we'd be millionaires. And do you know what? Since I read that, I thought that's true, but I've ended up picking that up, and I think it's a great saying. So
you know what I've picked up? He's such a small man. That's what I've picked up. There you go.
I like it.
Speaking of picked up, how was your weekend?
Phil Kemp is a lovely, lovely man. That's what I'll say.
He's a lovely, lovely man. He is. He's given us money to keep this going, but can't thank you enough, mate. Seriously, thank you very much.
We've got a great podcast in store anyway. We've had a pre-recorded conversation with the queen of the bikers,
the self-titled queen title, or the
lovely Maria Costello. So we're chatting to her for about 30 minutes. So I had a right good chat covering loads of stuff, wasn't it? From back in the day to how she got into racing, all the way through to winning MBEs, autobiography, starring in a Hollywood movie. But we won't ruin it, so we'll let you listen into that.
And she's not a lovely man, she's a lovely woman. So there you go for that, listener. How was your week before we get going? Anyway, we're jumping far too excitable in the front here. So how was your week?
Good. Busy. Obviously, I've had I'm getting rid of this cold, which is a bit rubbish. But went over the Lake District at the weekend, which was nice. I got out to it's like Ullswater Pooley Bridge. Got a right good run in around the lake on the morning, which was nice. I had a lovely Indians down in Penrith. Do you say Indian or Indians?
Indians.
That's what I say as well. So I had lovely Indians, and
that's our next Twitter question, isn't it?
I usually
say bath or bath.
I'm the type of person that I always stick to the same meal. So I get the meal, I enjoy it, and I always pick the same one. And every time I've tried something else, I've been disappointed. So my go-to meal is a chicken dansak with onion rice. Absolutely love it. But I fancied a challenge at the weekend, so I went for a chicken vindaloo.
And how did that go?
It was nice. It blew me lid off. It did, and I've got to say I was suffering from a bit of the old Gandhi's revenge in the morning. But it was lovely. Anyway,
we're not supporting racism, but that there you go. Touchy subject.
How was your week been?
Well, last weekend I went down to a fellow competitor's bar. He's opened a brand new bar called Baker Street. It's like a turn of the century thing, it's like a Peaky Blinders, but more like Pikey Blinders. But no, honestly, he's done an amazing job down there. Now, bearing in mind, when you think for a night out, where do you think? Liverpools, your Manchesters, your Londons,
Newcastle.
your Newcastle. Well, I said Newcastle. But obviously Preston, I'm going to be very blunt. You don't think, hey, let's go for a night out on Preston, but this really is worth it, and he's done an awesome job. And he's like he races with us. He's done BSBs in the past. He's done TTs, and he's done an outstanding job. And the best thing about him though is well, he forgot that there was an open tab in his name, so it was a very cheap weekend, and it was a good laugh and all. But bar that though, obviously I've got some personal news about a very exciting opportunity for me on a super twin. But we'll go into that later on in the show. But what we got first next, son? What we got first?
So topics for today. The interview with Maria Costello.
Yep.
Then we'll discuss, obviously, we had the first MotoGP at the weekend.
Yep.
We've got BSB are testing at the moment, so a bit of BSB testing from today. And I think that'll be enough for today, I reckon.
Yeah, because we're getting tight on time. But do you want to announce our first guest?
I tell you what, just before we announce the first guest,
Sorry, Chrissy. Sorry, son. Sorry.
Tell us a bit of, obviously the news got released about you're going to be racing the Counting Race and mini Super Twin at the TT this year for Counting Racing. Obviously, it must be a huge honour for you.
It goes without saying, you know what I mean? James is a really good friend of mine, and everyone in that paddock was a friend of James, But it was at the North East dinner dance, and his dad came up to us with Chloe, James's other half, and they just point blankly just went up to us and said, "Dominic, what you doing for a super twin at the TT?" I said, "I currently don't have one," and his dad just said, "Well, we want to get back in the racing, and James wanted to make his own team, and we want to get closer back to James, and this is how we want to do it, and do you want to race our bike?" And it was just, it was a proper, now obviously me being speechless is a rare thing, and that really was a moment for me, and how could I possibly turn that down? And I'm honoured, absolutely honoured, and the family are doing it for James, and they're giving me an opportunity to step up. Them lads never ever built a crap bike, and James was an outstanding rider, and he was a very, very competitive very professional person, and the whole family are like that. And for me to be given this opportunity, because it's huge, and I can't say anything more than that, and it's just so. And obviously Chloe's taking the reins on it, Chloe Black there, and she's doing a brilliant job, man. Like, normally it's like, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Chloe's going, "Right, Bellend, sit there. You're doing this, you're doing that. Brush your hair. Smile more. Don't smile. Stop talking. Don't talk to her. Don't eat sugar. Do this." No, they're laid back. It's about going out, going as fast as we can and as safe as we can. And the most important thing is about this on my side of things, and obviously theirs as well. It's James Counton can never be replaced, and we're doing this in the memory of James Counton. So that is my news of the week anyway.
That's
Chrissy.
fantastic. Well, I seen the pictures down at the launch, and obviously a beautiful looking bike and the team and stuff. Was that a bit of hair gel I seen in your hair?
No. Basically, I got a little bit lonely. I was away from home for a while, so it was a bit of a homemade product, and just swiped it through my hair, and I thought, my God, I look like a BSB wanker now. Bit like you, Chrissy.
I was going to say, you were just the sunglasses away from signing a BSB contract there.
I was in Yorkshire. There's no sunshine in Yorkshire. There you go.
Spot on. Well, without further ado, over to our wide-ranging conversation with the lovely Maria Costello. And we're joined by Maria Costello. Maria, can you hear us?
I can.
Spot on. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem.
Maria, before we get going, I'm going to apologise about his husky voice. He hasn't joined a jazz group, you know what I mean? He's just picked up some sort of disease. Where were you on the weekend then, you dirty little bugger, Chrissy?
Not good. I'm suffering from a bit of a cold.
He needs a Lemsip, Dom.
Yeah.
Give him a break.
We're in the northeast, man. We can get a lot stronger things than Lemsip.
So, it would have been perfect to get you on the podcast this time last week with it being International Ladies' Day. So we missed a bit of a trick there, but great to have you join us today.
No worries.
Did you catch up with the MotoGP over the weekend?
Of course, like it was so good for it to be back on, and just feels like the season's got going now. And wasn't it just a storming race? What a finish!
But which I was about to say, which one's your favourite class? You know, was it Moto
Well,
3, 2 race, or the MotoGP race? Which one was your favourite?
I think it was MotoGP at the weekend because of what Cal did. I just thought that was a real standout performance.
Yeah, and the sheer fact that everyone was up at the front for a change. It wasn't like
Yeah,
everyone pissed off like they normally do. You
And
know what I mean?
I think what was quite surprising was from the testing results. Obviously, Cal was absolutely nowhere in testing, and to be honest, Dovi sort of kept his powder dry until the race. And then, yeah, I mean, it was an amazing performance, like, and it was a really good, exciting race. Obviously, you've had some exciting news for yourself recently in the press with you riding the pattern at this year's TT, and also the news about your sidecar. So, I guess are you looking forward to the season ahead?
I hope it's no.
oh,
It'll be a
big
good
time.
time. Imagine if you went no, the sponsors would be over the moon, wouldn't it? Nah, shit. I'm not looking forward to it one bit. What a mistake.
Am I going to get a word in with you two? Just
Not a chance.
no. Yes, I'm absolutely made up. Absolutely made up. This is going to be an incredible season for me. So, getting the Super Twin pattern from Mark Coverdale is amazing. Can't thank him enough. Got to try it a tiny bit last year, and it's an incredible piece of kit. So, and it's a proven piece of kit because it's the bike that Michael won the lightweight TT on, and it went really well at the Northwest. So I'll be riding it at all three international road races. And then, yeah, my sidecar news, getting my TT sidecar entry, I'm made up.
Have you got your number?
And even more so because I've got the wonderful Julie Canepa on the side, and she's got 4 years of experience of racing sidecars, passengering at the TT. So that's going to really help me this year. So and we just get on really well, and yeah, really looking forward to working with her.
So have you been on the sidecar a few years now on the short circuit?
Yeah, so this will be my 3rd year sidecar racing. So and last year we did my first road race, which was the Southern 100, and that was with Sarah Stoke on the side.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went really decent because the depth of field there last year was incredible. It was all world champions, British champions, TT podium finishers. Estelle was there with Melanie, so there were 2 all-female teams there. It was incredible, and we got 13th, I think we finished. So made up with that as well.
Smashing. And which bike do you ride for the, like, what manufacturer is it off for the sidecar?
It's Kawasaki, the engine, yeah, and an LCR chassis.
Oh, smashing. And when you first got on the sidecar, how did you find the transition from 2 wheels to 3?
Well, I tried it actually when I was out in New Zealand. I was racing there on solos, but got invited to stay longer by a couple, Tracy and Steve, who both raced and passengered sidecars, and they said they'd let me have a go on theirs. And they own an old Dave Molyneux F2 sidecar, and I got the chance to ride it, and that really, cemented it that I really wanted to do this. And then nothing really happened for a few years, and then I bought my own sidecar and jumped in at BSB thanks to a sponsor. That was a complete baptism of fire, and maybe not ideal. And then last year did my own thing, and like I said, we did our first road race, and then and we've obviously done other short circuit meetings, and then this year it'll be all about the TT. So super excited.
What are you doing in preparation for the sidecar TT? Have you got many sort of practice runouts or short circuit
Yeah.
or anything?
She's had a podium around there on a solo. She doesn't need to learn the place anyway.
So yeah, for sure I've got my circuit knowledge, but it is going to be different on the sidecar. But I will go and do my...
It'll be easier. It'll be comfortable.
Well, you do know all about this, Dom, being a passenger yourself. We need to get you on the side of mine. I need to take you for some laps sometime.
It's all coming back, because the last time I saw you, Cadwell, you were flat on your back, mind.
All right, let's
no, that's
a different way.
There, didn't I? No, you kind of rolled it, didn't you, dear?
Yeah, it wasn't ideal. Had a bit of a moment coming up the mountain and through Hall Bends there, and yeah, real bizarre crash. And you know when you become a bit of I was a passenger myself, even as a driver, because
All right.
you're stuck in it and you can't get out. It's not like being on a motorbike. So
No.
yeah, that wasn't ideal. Thanks for reminding me of that, Dom. There have been lots of happier times that you could have spoken about.
But I wasn't.
Um,
I wasn't there for the happy times. I was there for your flip moment. You know what I mean? And the worst person to see that flip moment was me. And he on a
yes,
podcast
absolutely.
telling everyone about it. So
And there was me about to congratulate you on your classic TT win.
oh, that's
On
boring. That's boring. That's boring. I haven't flipped the sidecar Cadwell. Now that's a bit of crack. Let's talk about that. That's a, no, but obviously since then, like you say, you've been in the Southern. You've done a lot of sidecar experience since then. Obviously enough to get your mountain course license. And have you got your numbers yet? Obviously, everyone at this time of year, everyone's trying to figure out
I
where.
know. Everyone gets very excited about that. I'm obviously with my sidecar. I'm just super pleased to get an entry. We're not starting number 45. Obviously, that potentially could change in qualifying. And on my solo, I've got a really terrible start number because I didn't finish the race last year, and I'm 35 on the lightweight. But hopefully, on the pattern, I can turn that round.
Oh,
And that's the whole point of practice, isn't it? That you get the chance to qualify better.
wait. To be fair, you know yourself around the Isle of Man course. It doesn't matter where you start. It means that it's a time trial, for God's sake. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's only a number.
Absolutely.
There you are.
So am I right in saying that your fastest lap to date is you broke the Guinness record, world record for the fastest lady around the TT course at 114 miles an hour. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean that was a long time ago. I actually contacted Guinness World Records at the time. That's how it's a Guinness World Record now. They hadn't looked at it before, so that was pretty cool. And obviously now Jenny Tinmouth has that, and she's done an amazing 119 odd mile an hour. So yeah, but it was really cool to hold that. I think I held it for 5 years.
Oh, well done. Well
And
done.
looking ahead to this year at the TT, have you got a sort of figure in mind for an ambition for the sidecar? Are you looking at a sort of lap speed as a target, or are you just going to sort of turn up and see what you can do?
Yeah, no, I think we're going with the attitude that we want to have a really good time, and normally if you're enjoying it, you go well.
Yeah.
And ideally, we want to start 2 races, so qualify, start 2 races, and finish 2 races, because that in itself is a battle, as Dominic knows. So a challenge. So yeah, that's what we're aiming for. Well, that'll be the first thing to aim for: qualify, and then try and finish those races.
Here's a question. Obviously, have you been to a meeting where you've done? Obviously, you have, haven't you? I've answered my own question here, even before about you. Obviously, getting in a sidecar, then getting on a solo. Did you do that at the Southern this year?
I didn't race both at the Southern, but that's where I got to try the Super Twin pattern. But
Right.
I've not done it.
Like back to back,
I've
because
done it in New Zealand when I got to try it, but I guess that wasn't as serious as the TT.
no, because you yourself, because you're going to be doing 30 set where you probably just get 2 laps on the sidecar, then you'll get 2 laps on the pattern, and then you'll go from that high height of sitting on a tank, and then you'll hop on a sidecar where your nose is skimming off the tarmac. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, as you've got an idea, it's so different when you get on a sidecar that my transition becomes, it's a completely different thing. So I'm quite used to racing classic bikes which have gear levers on the other side and the other way up, and I seem to be able to do that transition quite well. You know, so I can just get it in my head that no, I've moved on to that now, and then yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
That's definitely one thing I'm okay at.
There we go. Good stuff.
So I mean, a lot of our listeners are probably listening. They'll know the name and know a bit about you. But can we just sort of rewind back to when you first started racing, and can you just sort of set the scene of like how old you were, how you sort of got introduced into motorcycle racing, and obviously the rest's history. So yeah, go So back to the start. Like, what was your first bike? How old were you? That type of thing.
This is probably before you were born. It was a long time ago. And then I'm not, so it was
It's
back
still
when
fit.
I was, what was I? I was 20 years old when I started racing. But how I got to go racing was I had a motorbike that I used to get to work on. I was actually a trainee veterinary nurse. And one morning on my way to work, I got knocked off by a car driver with obviously dodgy eyesight and ended up in a mess on the floor, actually hit a wall, broke myself, broke the motorbike. But the silver lining to the grey cloud was that and I wasn't too badly injured, thankfully, but I got compensation money. And that bought my first race bike, to my mum's horror.
I mean, that's the logical decision for anyone that's been knocked off.
I mean,
I think so.
nurses that as well. And actually, nurses are known for hating bike races. So any nurses listening to the podcast, I do apologise, but every nurse I've met, I haven't been best pleased anyways. So brilliant.
I had brilliant nurses at the time, I just want to say, and thank you to the NHS because they've put me back together so many times.
Brilliant.
So
And
do you
been
know?
amazing. But yeah, no, that was a long time ago, and that really was like winning the lottery for me, I have to say, because I could probably never have afforded it any other way. My parents were never gonna, be able to put any money into fund racing. So that was my lucky break, literally.
Literally.
Was the initial inspiration, did that come from like sort of family or friends, or I mean, where did the sort of initial love for motorbike racing come from?
Well, it came from having a motorbike on the road, and then, like I said, I was training as a veterinary nurse. I actually qualified as a veterinary nurse, but once I did that, I changed jobs and I started working in a bike shop, and everything became about motorbikes. And then I was hanging out, I had made more friends who had bikes, and we'd go to race meetings. And I went to one at Mallory Park, and I saw Sandra Barnett racing there. And that was a massive moment for me, I think. It was like a light bulb moment. Oh, hang on a minute. If she can do it, so maybe so can I. And as it went on, in my second year of racing, her and her husband approached me to be in an all-female team. And that's what I did. I was in a team with Sandra Barnett and another girl called Bridget McManus. Sandra did the TT and Bridget and I did the Manx Grand Prix. So in my second year of racing, I went to the Isle of Man and raced the Manx Grand Prix.
Oh,
so you went from like initially racing just straight into road racing, and
I know.
the first time at the Manx, can you remember sort of what sort of lap speed you managed?
I know I did over 100 mile an hour.
Oh dear.
But that was, yeah.
that's
So
not sniffer.
it's not bad. Oh, thanks, Dom.
Well, it isn't. My first ever lap round there was like a 68 mile an hour. And
I
then
don't believe you.
I know, I'm telling him. Do you not? What was your first flying lap speed then? Do you remember that?
No,
Mine-
of course I don't. It was a million years ago.
Oh, come on.
I'd have to look into the archives. It's all. I'm sure it's all there somewhere, isn't it? But I know. I know. I did. I broke the 100 mile an hour lap in my first year.
Brilliant.
And I did get a silver replica for the class we were in.
What class was that then?
I don't know. It was the I don't know this. I guess it was in the senior. Somebody needs to go and look at the statistics on all of this because
Well, we'll actually ask the person who did it. Maria, do you know?
no,
You know,
Look,
any
that
idea?
was a long time ago, Dom. And as you know, I've banged my head quite a few times since then.
And so initially back then, how did you sort of your family and your friends take it, the fact you were going over to the Isle of Man and racing at like over 100 miles an hour around
Terribly. It was didn't go down at all very well with anybody. My family, my mum she was distraught really because she said at the beginning, you won't do that, go to the Isle of Man place, will you? And then of course at the launch of the team, it was announced that we'd be doing the Manx Grand Prix and she walked out. So I have put my mum through it, and I have to say, now, and it's taken her 23 years to get used to it, but now she's a major supporter of what I do. But for sure, it was a really difficult time for her, I think, having this daughter that wanted to do something, that was so alien to her. But anyway, yeah, I went there. I defied her because I was a defiant child, and now she's super proud of me. Anyway.
Yeah, sure. And then sort of from those early years, did it just sort of develop into a bit of a drug, and then just each year returning to the island?
Yeah, I mean, I have pretty much done the Manx Grand Prix or the TT since then. I've done 20 years of it anyway, and yeah, it's. I mean, I was super scared at the beginning, and I remember saying to the team that if I didn't like it, can I, pull out? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. It needs to be something that you're enjoying, and thankfully I've been enjoying it ever since. Don't get me wrong, it's a love-hate relationship with that place, and I've broken myself quite a few times there, but I've also had the best times of my life there in regards success and yeah, finishing on podiums and stuff.
So, right, you've sculpted yourself into this legacy. Costello, which is, honestly, you've just grabbed it by the nuts and you've just completely committed to it, and you've just shaped what we're speaking to right now. So, my dodgy little question here: if you could go back to your 20, and Chrissy wrote this. It's a lovely question. It's so, if you could go get Chrissy, you say it. I'm fucking this up.
Are you allowed to swear?
Yeah, put a pound in the swear jar.
We've got the swear jar going. We must have a good.
Is it full?
70, 80 quid in so far.
Yeah, if you swear right now, I'll double your money. Give me a big swear. It's going to the William Dunlop Foundation.
I don't swear, Dominic.
Ladies
you know that.
Ladies don't swear. Howie, come on. One little swear word. It could be crap.
I don't swear. I can't. No, I can't. My mum will tell me off.
Oh, golly gosh, or something shite like that. I just want one little swear word.
Let's get back to that question. Where's the question?
If you could go back to and you could give advice to your 21-year-old self, so from the experience that you've gathered over the years, if you could sort of say one thing to your 21-year-old self, give some advice, what would it be?
That's a good one. That is a good one.
You can tell.
I definitely made some mistakes with choosing directions to go, but I think you have got to make mistakes, so it probably wouldn't be that. I mean, really, when other women come up to you and say, I want to go racing, how do I do this? I mean, you have got to go at it with your heart and soul and really go for it. You've got to use all the determination that you've got to keep it going. And am I answering your question? Probably not.
No, but carry on. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, just go for it. It's as simple as that. I feel really lucky that I found something that I love, because to do something for over 23 years, I've got to love, right? So go out and find something that you're really, truly passionate about and make it happen.
Yeah. If it wasn't for racing, what would Maria Costello be doing?
Do you know, I thought about this the other day because of dancing on ice, because I adore Torvill and Dean and I wish I could do that. Yeah, serious. That's my guilty pleasure, Torvill and Dean.
And over the last few years, obviously, I follow you on social media, so I see quite a lot of things that you're up to, and you've had quite an involvement with sort of young riders coming through and sort of ladies track days. Obviously, it's become, with Anna Carrasco winning the European Junior Cup last year, and we've got some really strong female racers coming through the sort of British championships and stuff. Do you have any sort of roles in terms of mentoring or sort of helping those young girls like climb the ladder that is the racing world?
No. Well, I've been involved with the FIM. I've been on the Women's Motorcycling Commission there, and I've mentored at the European Junior Cup, and I'm loving seeing all these new young girls come through. We've got some fantastic ones, and because of social media, it's much easier to follow them and see what they're doing these days. And there's an amazing group. We've got Chloe and Lissy and Charlie and Abby, and there's loads. And I love the fact that they all support each other. But yeah, I would love to find a way to actually directly support them, because that I didn't have that when I was younger. And maybe going back to that question you asked earlier, it's just having somebody to bounce questions off, and should I be doing this? Is this the best way to do things? I think if you look at all the top races, they've all got that sidekick that helps them, and I think that's it'd be nice to be there for those young girls and help them make the right decisions,
Yeah,
if that was possible.
It's probably similar to the experience that you had with Sandra Barnett, in the fact that you've probably played a pivotal role for a lot of these young girls that have thought about bike racing and they've seen you out there doing it, and that's maybe given them the confidence, or the sort of inspired them to get out. So even without sort of having a direct involvement, you probably have had a lot of influence in a lot of those girls' careers. Out of the ones that are coming through at the moment, that in the sort of British championships and whatever, do you have like a standout that you're sort of tipping for success later on in life?
Well, there's I mentioned all those young girls there. Some of them are coming into British. So there's Chloe coming into back to the British, I think the 300 or 400 class, which is that class is really helpful for women. That's the class that Anna Carrasco won at World Championship level, and it's a great size of motorcycle for anybody, but for women particularly. And but there's young girls that are doing the pit biking and the smaller series. But there's Shani Pinfold, which is actually from Australia. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does again this year.
Yeah, she had a really strong year in the Moto3, obviously learning the tracks this season. But like you say, it'll be interesting to see how she gets on, because there was good signs of progression throughout the year. And I think she'll have a good season this year. Also, we've got Yeva Babeltine in the Ducati. I think she'll be back in the Ducati.
Oh yes, big fan of hers as well. I mean, I used to bump into her the odd time at BSB, and I know she hasn't had it easy either. And what I've tried to do is I've set up Woman on a Motorcycle is a group on Facebook, but more than that, I've set up a Twitter account and an Instagram account. And what I'm trying to do is follow all the girls and share all their news. So if you do know of a girl that's racing, let me know so that I can follow them and share their news and help promote them, because I think that's what's really key, is that we highlight what all these girls are doing and share the fact that they're successful, and then they all become role models as well. And that's how I think that will help get more young girls into the sport.
Oh, brilliant. Now, the only thing you've missed off from that, what's the name of your Twitter page?
It's WOAM group, at WOAM group.
Is that on all of them? Facebook, Instagram, or was that just
That's Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook is Woman on a Motorcycle.
There we go. Check it out, people. Check it out.
And as I was sort of preparing for this quick little interview, I just went on your website there and I was having a read through of all your things. I didn't actually realise that you had your own autobiography out. When did that come about? Like, how did it take a long time to write?
Yeah, no, that was a while ago. That was actually published in 2010, just after I got my MBE. And
that was a question I was going to ask. What does the Queen smell like?
I didn't meet her. I met her son.
God, I was wondering if she smelled like swans or something. You know what I mean? When you need to go down and feed the ducks and that. And you got
what
that.
You mean you don't get to hang out with the Queen very often, Dom? I'm surprised at that.
Chris is the only person I get to hang out with, and that's why we're doing the podcast. You know what I mean? So, but if I ever got an opportunity to whiff the Queen, I would. Oh my God, for Queen in mind.
I don't want to know.
Well, why don't you want to know? I thought we were mates.
Maybe keep that to yourself, Dom.
Well, I thought there's me. Have an opportunity there.
Chrissy another Lemsip. Look, he's dying in the background there.
He'll be fine.
Do you know what you were saying about going from a veterinary nurse to working in a motorbike shop? So yes. Over the last, how many years while you've been racing, what does a sort of day-to-day life look like for Maria Costello? What do you do through the winter?
Okay, up until fairly recently, a few years ago, I was doing like 3 jobs. So I've worked for motorcycle clothing companies, done a bit of press work, worked in call centres, done whatever really to pay the bills.
Yeah.
I also do keynote speaking and talks, and I also coach track days. So I've done my own women only track days, but
Yeah.
also I head up the IAM Road Smart Ladies Skills Days. Well, one of them, we did one last year, and I'm doing another this year. So excited about that, and I really want to make my track days happen again. It's just finding a financial backer really, because it's just not easy to book a track and make it financially viable, but fingers crossed I can try and do that this year.
Here's the question. Obviously, you've set up a fantastic business, women-only track days. Now, I'm going to be very blunt with my next question. Do you really think there's still a lot of sexism in this sport? Or do you think it's like, obviously, from when you first started to where we are right now, where do you think we are?
Okay, so it's massively improved.
Good.
I think in general it has too. And regards the women only track days, I mean, I did face a bit of sort of negativity when I set them up, because people were saying, oh, it's not necessary, and the guys were saying you don't need to do that, but it wasn't really for the guys to say that. It was there was a need for it. Women were contacting me and saying they wanted some coaching and that they wanted to go on track, but they were intimidated by doing normal track days. So I set them up. Yeah, for sure, it wouldn't have been something I would have looked at initially, but for sure. But again, when I go on a track day these days, I mean, you have to really have your wits about you and kind of get ready for a bit of a battle out there, especially when it's a busy track day. But anyway, made them happen. They were a massive success. I had amazing feedback, and they've been going for years and years now, and because I get return business, they want to do them again and again. And yeah, so there's a place for them. Thankfully, sexism is improving in general, but I think we've still got a long way to go before we reach equality. I think Anna Carrasco did amazing things for women in motorcycle racing last year by winning the World Championship, and yeah, I think she's amazing.
Hats off. So how do people go and book a track day with Maria Costello then?
Well, I haven't got mine in place yet, but to get on the IAM Road Smart one, you need to go on their website, which don't ask me off the top of my head what that is. I'm sure I've shared links recently on my social media.
There we go then. Hey, mind you, I didn't realise we were talking to like a Hollywood star, by the way, Chrissy. She's been dabbling with the stars, haven't you, dear?
That was a while ago as well. Yeah, well spotted, Dom.
What
I got to play. What?
What movie was that? Which movie?
Well, it's obviously not your favourite, but it's called what is it called? What is it called, Dom? Have you done your homework?
Oh,
it's called Penelope. It's called Penelope, and it's a children's movie. And I got to be the rider double for Reese Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon.
So was that filmed over here, or did you have to fly out to the States?
It was filmed in the UK, actually in London, and yeah, no, it was really cool. It paid well as well. I was only riding a scooter. I'm not a stunt woman. That's definitely a job for Jenny Tinmouth. She's amazing in all the Mission Impossible movies. But this was just great fun. I got to whiz around a scooter on closed roads in London and have a real laugh with the whole crew. They were brilliant.
I can just see Reese Witherspoon with a knee down round a roundabout.
Well,
just giving it
I will admit that the first time I met her, when she came on set, and all she was going to do was sit on the back of the scooter, and I had to ride out of shot. Anyway, I only went too soon and left her behind. She hadn't even got on the scooter.
Never.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, God, yeah.
So, sure. But when we finally did the shot and she did get on the scooter, we rode around the corner and we were just faced with this like mass of paparazzi because, well, actually, it wasn't. I was obviously playing Reese. It was the other girl that was in it. Oh, what was her name? Christina Ricci. She was actually playing the girl that had a curse, and basically she had a pig's nose and all the paparazzi were after a photograph of her with a pig's nose. And as we rode around the corner out of shot, yeah, all these paparazzi people went crazy.
Oh, there we go then. So, come on then. A very bland, but I want a very quick answer. What was your favourite year of your racing career?
I'm going to go 2016, podium with John McGuinness, Classic TT.
Oh, yes, good times. Good start.
Great times.
Are you doing the Classic TT again this year?
I am, yeah. Entries have just opened today. I need to get mine in. But, yeah, I'll be back on the Boyga pattern, which is completely different to the Super Twin pattern that I'll be racing, but of the same manufacturer. Yeah.
Did you break? Well, obviously we all had shy practice and stuff, but I'm trying to think. Where did you finish in the 500?
I broke down last year.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't you? Where were you
Yeah.
at the time?
Second.
You're joking. Oh, for God's sake!
I know, and that was partly because we'd had really bad practice, wasn't it? We'd had no time on the bike. If we'd done like 2 more laps in qualifying, we would have hit that problem and hopefully been able to sort it out before we got to the race. But the weather was awful, wasn't it, last year? So.
Oh, but that played in your hands or mind? You know what I mean? Because obviously the people who've done more classic racing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, definitely John McGuinness. He was ready to go.
Well, he's always ready to go, even with his kebab leg there. You know what I mean? He was really ready to go.
Oh, how'd you get away with this?
Because it's a podcast. It's not the BBC. You're just panicking.
So
well,
just a few quick fire questions before we wrap the interview up. So looking ahead,
this can actually go out. I'm not. Are you?
It's out now. It's live. I'm telling you. John's on the phone telling me off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gonna slap me silly with his Bentley.
So looking ahead for this season,
Yes, Chrissy.
Yes, Chrissy, the sensible one.
Who do you think's gonna? If you had to pick somebody, who do you think's gonna win MotoGP?
Oh, can I just mention Rossi? Let's just give Rossi a shout.
Yeah, Rossi. What about World Superbikes?
World Superbikes. Well, I'm gonna go Jonathan Ray.
Jonathan Ray and BSB. Do you have a?
I'm really excited about having Scott Redding in BSB.
Yeah, I seen he was fastest in testing today. I know
Yeah.
that doesn't mean a great deal at this time of the year, but it's
Of course not.
But yeah,
But
still.
I think it's just going to be great fun having him in the championship.
Yeah, me too. Well, Maria, thanks so much for joining us on Chasing the Racing. If you send us over a postal address, we'll send you a Chasing the Racing mug for being on.
Really? Wow.
All the guests get a Chasing the Racing mug.
Thank you.
And all what's left to say really is just the very best of luck for this season coming. Obviously, you've got a busy calendar. When are you first out?
Potentially the end of this month on the sidecar. First off.
Oh, cool.
Where at?
I think it's Alton Park.
Oh, there we
right.
go. Then off to the northwest again. Are you on the pattern at the northwest?
Yeah. But there'll be other sidecar races before that, and maybe some pattern testing, and maybe even Cookstown before that. So loads going on, yeah.
Oh, Grant, I'm going to see loads of you. It's Chrissy, that's not going to see much of you. And not hang around the BSB paddocks.
I know I won't be at BSB, but we do need to get Chrissy on my sidecar, I think, don't you?
Oh, crap.
I would love
yes.
I would love that. Like,
would you?
yeah,
You heard it first on
Awesome.
yeah.
That's it. Done deal.
Sign us up. Right, well, thanks so much, Maria, and all the best, and I'm sure we'll speak to you soon.
My pleasure. Good luck with it, guys.
Cheers, Maria. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Shamao! And we're back.
What was that? Are you recording this? Are you really? That's great. Keep it going. Don't you dare hit pause.
So we're back in the room. What a good interview that was with Maria.
Yeah,
I
I'm
probably
really
enjoyed
awake now. I'm actually shaking like a shitting dog here, son. There's me looking at Twitter for the bloody retweet competition, and I'm sorry. What were you doing, son? That was yes. Go carry on.
Back in the swing of things, and we've got our MotoGP news. Obviously, first Grand Prix of the season. I mean, how good was it to see the bikes back on TV? And I mean, we discussed last week. We're discussing as a sort of preview to the racing. How did you think it was? We'll start with the Moto3 race.
Well, I'm just going to jump straight into it. You know, Moto3 is always brilliant. You know, dead tight racing. But I'm over the moon to see Captain Grabby's suicide Italian rider. What's his name again? Finati. Aye, Captain Fart Pants trying to kill people. But now, did you notice he had his neck wound in this time? Because did you see, obviously, what, lap number 5 or lap number 6? He got a pit warning in front of him saying, obviously, he was exceeding track limits. Now, obviously, you've got the rumble strips at Qatar and that. But if you run onto the green, because they don't have grass over there, they obviously get a warning. But he took the warning as this ride-through penalty. And when they designed the track, they extended the tarmac on one corner. But he saw the warning as, oh shit, I've got to pull in here. So, obviously, he went from, I think he was sitting third.
I mean, it was a great race because that sort of front battle was from first to 11th, was within a second over the line. So it was
just
like
freight train. It was exactly like.
But like you say, it was great because I think he was down a little bit on top speed.
Totally.
So he was doing well on the brakes and through the corners.
He was dominating it.
Yeah, he was getting back to the front, and then they would get back on the straight, and he would go back to like 6th, and it was really exciting to watch him battle his way through. But obviously, like you said, he misunderstood the warning, and he did a ride through, and it dropped him back to like 11th or 12th place, which totally wrecked his race.
I think that's good for him as a professional run, though. And don't get me wrong, yes, he saw a warning and thought, I'm getting bollocked, go on. But obviously, you know, the lad's had his pants down on social media, hasn't he? Because, well, there's no sympathy, is there? You know, he saw red, he tapped the front brake and nearly killed the guy.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fully enough, when that happened, I think that was the week that we were first discussing starting the podcast. And if you remember rightly, you decided to you said, oh, we should have a spanner of the week, and you said we would get like a big rusty spanner, and each week we would nominate like an idiot from the world of motorbike racing, and we were saying that week would have been Fanati's week. He would have been the spanner of that week. But I mean, it's one of those things like to do with, obviously, I think the punishment of him not racing the rest of last year was sort of fitted the crime. But you know, there's got to be a road to redemption, and you've got to give people second chances. He made a huge mistake, one that could have cost him his career, but more importantly, it could have cost somebody else their life.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We are joined tonight by Reverend Chrissy Rousey. You know what I mean? The road to redemption is nigh.
but you know what I'm saying. So
yeah, exactly right,
he's
mate.
been given a second chance, and to be honest, that's what happened at the weekend was probably a sign of him shitting his pants to try and keep in the good books. He would have been doing everything possible to keep his nose clean, no sort of risque moves.
And
as soon as he got a warning, he pulled over, and even though he didn't have to, he probably just was.
He's playing the game.
What's the word? On the side of caution.
Aye.
What's the word?
You
know what I'm saying? Like on the side of caution, anyway. But yeah, I mean, it was a good race. I thought it was quite interesting. Obviously, the last Moto3 race was won by the young Turkishman, Kan Onku. He's racing on for the.
You're looking at me like I know how to pronounce that. I have no idea here.
Well, he was the youngest person ever to. He broke Scott Redden's record for the youngest person ever to win a Moto3 race, the last round of last year. But I mean, he finished down in 18th place for this first round, so it'll be interesting to see. He's obviously just a youngster. He's got years and years of experience to come, but it'll be interesting to follow his progress this season. John McPhee, the British Scottish, he finished up in 13th place. So I mean, he was in that battle. He finished 1.8 seconds behind the leader.
He was quite a fair bit behind, but he properly crawled him back in. That front group.
I think again, he's one of the lads that are struggling for top end speed. So you know, when it's so close, if you keep getting passed on the straight, it makes your life very difficult. The other Brit, Tom Booth Amos, had a bit of a stinker for a first race. He went down on the first lap, but he took about 4 riders out. I think he was just a little bit over ambitious first
race, fresh
race.
season.
Exactly.
Here we go.
And trying to make, because he didn't have such a good qualifying, so he's probably just trying to make up time. And he ended up skittling like 4 riders. So hopefully his next race will be a bit
First spanner of the day.
yeah,
Spanner of the
yeah.
pod. Our first spanner of the pod. The
Spanner
new
of the
season.
pod,
There you
aye.
go.
And moving on to Moto 2.
Also, sorry,
Go on,
on
what was
Moto
you
2. Sorry, miles away. Carry on. Sorry, son.
And moving on to Moto 2. Obviously, we had Sam Lowes and Jake Dixon in that class. Now, Sam was looking incredibly impressive in testing. He was first and second throughout all the main tests, so I guess that's probably raised everyone's expectations a little bit. He didn't have a bad first weekend, finished up in 6th place, so, 10 points on the board, a lot better than a DNF, obviously, and he's sort of up there. But I think because he was so good in testing, it maybe felt like a little bit of a...
It's put a little bit of a chink where it's slapping back down to reality. I wouldn't say a chink in his armour because he knows he's capable of it.
Yeah.
But obviously, like you say, it's the first race. Everyone's like, you're thinking about the last race when you do your first race, aren't you? Because you're thinking, oh crap, you've got this to come.
I've got to say, mind, I really, really like Sam. He's a lovely, lovely man.
He's a lovely, lovely
he's,
man.
He's a great lad. He's dead enthusiastic. He's good to watch. He's exciting, and I just think he's a very nice person. So I'm a huge Sam fan. Did you see the bit spat on Twitter over the race weekend?
Nah.
So obviously Neil Hodgson commentates on BT Sport, and during the weekend, Scott Redden tweeted Neil Hodgson saying something along the lines of something about like only supporting Sam, so like making it out as if like there's other people on the grid and there's more riders than just Sam.
No, for God's sake.
And and then Neil replied, and there was a little bit, a bit of Twitter drama.
Oh, for God's sake, man! Come on, kids, let's all play nice.
Yeah,
toys back in the pram.
But yeah, I mean, good start for Sam, good solid start, and hopefully he can build on that, and hopefully we'll see him back on the podium sometime soon.
And Dick, now, Matt, before we move on to the Premier, the MotoGP, it just shows how hard the top level is, man. When you've got Jake Dixon, who unfortunately had, well, let's put it blunt, he had a shit first qualifying, didn't he? Bless him. You know what I mean? We all have ups and downs as humans, but that was just unfortunate, and that'll be hard to come back from. I'm not saying he won't be able to. This is Jake Dixon we're talking about here. Seriously talented rider, but his confidence within himself, it's going to be very hard to get that back going, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it's a huge step.
Huge.
It's a totally different type of bike. Obviously, Jake's had a good few years now riding 1,000, and then gone back to a 600. Obviously, it's a bit of a different riding style.
Yes,
there's a lot to get used to, and to be honest, when he was on the 600 in Britain, I would say he really came to his forte when he got onto the 1,000. So when he was in a super sport riding for the Smiths Triumph, that year, like, I think Kyle Ride actually beat him that year, and Kyle was only 17 at the time, and I think that was the year Stapleford was winning. So I would say Jake really came into his own on the superbike, and it'll be certainly interesting to see how he gets on this year. He's a super talented person, and he's so committed to his racing. I was good friends with Jake years ago. We used to race together in the Aprilia Super Teens, and I once had a week at Jake's house, and just to sort of show you what he's like, we're doing different things each day, like just messing about and doing different sports and stuff. And I asked him if he'd ever played squash, and he'd never played. So I said, come down to the sports centre and we'll have a game of squash. I'll teach you how to play. So I explained the rules. Bear in mind, I play squash with my dad, so like I'm not a great squash player, but I can play.
You can hold your own.
I can hold my own. So I've served it to him, and then we started playing a little bit of a game. And obviously, I've had loads of experience, so I was not obviously much better initially. And it was like unbelievably infuriating him, the fact that I was better than squash. He's so competitive. Exactly like if you're out riding push bikes around the paddock, we used to have like races around like the petrol station at Donington. I remember doing like races around there, and he would always have to be the fastest, and he would like risk really hurting himself to be like the fastest on a BMX around the paddock. He's a funny that actually reminds us of a story. So when I was staying at his house, I was sat, and it was early days of Facebook. I'd just joined, and I was sat checking my Facebook, and Jake was getting in the shower, And he came out, and as I was like sitting away on the computer, I just felt something like rest on my head, and like I put my hand up, grabbed it.
Oh my God, this could be anything.
And it was just a big ball of hair, like curly hair.
Oh man!
And I looked to him, and he was stood with a pair of scissors, and I shit you not, he just cut all of his pubes off and put them in.
Joking.
No, I swear.
I know we can see anything on this podcast, son, but you should have told me this before you put this on. Brilliant, mate.
But no, I really wish him the very best. And I think, and one more thing to say as well. You know, Jake's on the old KTM, so
he's on the new one.
The frame, obviously, they're all Triumph engines, but he's on the old KTM frame, and even the new KTM frame doesn't look very competitive. So the class is being dominated at the moment by the Kalex. So even if he was on the new KTM, he would still probably be a bit of a disadvantage to the Kalex machines, and he's on the old. So I think he's pissing in the wind a little bit at the moment.
Aye.
But I'm sure that'll change. He's in a very, very good team, massive backers, and I'm sure we'll see better things as the season progresses.
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to follow that.
Definitely. Right, on to the Premier.
Just before we move on, I was super impressed with Remy Gardner this weekend.
Definitely.
Absolutely amazing progression. And, you know, over the last few years, he's been crashing his brains out, but he's been moving up and up and up. And this weekend, a full weekend, practice, qualifying, everything, he was brilliant. And he just missed out on the podium by like a few thousandths of a second or a few hundredths of a second. So I think we're in for a bit of a treat this year from Remy, and I think he's a bit of a character in that as well, isn't he? So all good. But on to the MotoGP race. So Dom, what was your thoughts?
Well, my standout moment was this whole shot device on the Ducati. Now, obviously they got it all on. It was all bloody all up there, wasn't it? But it's actually a mechanical assistance. Now, obviously, when the race got going, I was really excited about seeing the race going, because I was like that. Come on. Because you just think, like anything within this sport, if anyone's got a slight advantage, I guarantee, like you can guarantee it, that every single manufacturer would have had a whole shot device for next week. Now, in your opinion, was it worth it?
Well, I mean,
they're so powerful, the Ducatis anyway. It's hard to gauge, but they did get the good drive mind.
Dovey and Jack Miller from the front two rows have left everyone, and they were first and second going in. And if you think the time, the effort, and the money that goes into qualify an extra, you're essentially like half a metre in front of the next person, aren't you?
Yeah.
So like all that money, time, and effort, and all the risks you take in qualifying to get that slight advantage, and then to just have such an advantage off the line just because of a technicality, is. But you know, at the end of the day, MotoGP is about development, and we've got Ducati now, which is kind of like a Formula One aspect into MotoGP.
Yes,
and I mean, they were the first people to bring the wings in. Now everyone's got wings, and that's past going down to the road bikes. You see BSB bikes now, even with wings. And yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a device. It actually takes us back to my motocross days. Did you ever do motocross?
No.
Well, with motocross, you have it was called a whole shot device, and essentially what happens is, do you know a motocross start is there's like 30 side by side, and then the gates drop, and it's like a massive thing to get the whole shot. Yeah. So there was a device created where you push your forks down, and it was essentially like a pin that like locked your forks down, so it loaded the front, and it kept the front wheel closer to the ground, so you can get more drive without the bike wheeling
off.
And then as soon as you got up to like 40-50 mile an hour, it would then pop up, and you would then continue racing.
I thought it was when you hit the first bump, if you know what I
mean.
Hit
the first bump. Whatever. But it would stay down. It would stay down until at least you got off the start and then accelerated, and then it would pop back up. Now, I was interested when I first heard about this whole shot device, what the crack was with the Ducati, and as I've looked at it, it hasn't actually got to do with the front end. So
it's all about the back, isn't it?
That's right. So essentially, it like loads the rear down, so more weight on the rear tyre.
Turns it into a drag bike.
Yeah, exactly, more grip. So I think I'm not entirely sure how it works, but I think it's some sort of mechanical switch which pulls the rear down, and it gets more more grip.
Well, it's got to be a latch like you see on the motocross bikes, because there was like a physical there was a video of it, and you could see the thing rag down. There's a hand up. There's quite a big lever really for a MotoGP bike on the front yokes.
No, also, not to get too technical, but bringing the rear down like that actually reduces the wheelie moment. So it essentially makes it harder for the rider to wheelie, and therefore, because obviously wheeling's usually what holds you back, like your restriction when you're setting off.
Gets rid of that transaction.
So it reduces that moment. So it allows you to get a faster start without the bike wheeling, basically, which is interesting. But also, there's been a huge controversy over the Ducati in the race, because over all the test and practice qualifying, they didn't run this new modification on the swinging arm, and then in the race, Dovi, Miller, and Petrucci all came out with this. It looks like a sort of swinging arm hugger. So for those that haven't seen it, I'll stick it on the Chasing the Race Twitter page.
Under the bike, isn't it?
But essentially, it's so if you followed the belly pan to the back wheel, it sort of comes down. It's weird. I'll post a picture on it anyway. And there's all the teams basically have put a protest into the FIM about it, because Ducati are saying it's there to keep the rear wheel the rear tire cooler. Where the other teams are saying that it looks like a double element wing profile, and it's actually creating downforce for the rear wheel.
It's a spoiler.
And essentially acting like a spoiler, creating downforce, therefore more grip for the rear tyre. So what could possibly happen, it's all going to the sort of FIM court, but what could actually happen is that result may get altered, and Dovi may lose the race win, but we'll have to see. They're making a decision before the next round. What? So it's all up in the air. It's one of those things where because there's rules about what you can and can't do, and you can't have the wings coming from the fairing there, but the way Ducati sort of got around it was it's actually part of the swinging arm, and it's very much like if you read a rule book and then there's lawyers going to be fighting over the wording of the actual rules. But it's another sort of interesting talking point.
It's another development stage, isn't it?
And you can just tell that Ducati are putting so much effort into, like, every time you see the bikes, they look different. I mean, what are the bikes going to look like in like 5 years' time?
What's your opinion on the wings? The look of it? Just the look of it?
I think they look nice.
I think they look mint.
Yeah, like
it's like something out of Tron or Judge Dredd. You're like, this looks bitchin', this.
Yeah. Do you know what? When they first came out, I thought they looked a bit stupid. But the more I've seen them, and the sort of the raw beauty in the fact that they're allowed the bikes to go faster, I like that. It's
they're
like
artistic.
Raw, yeah. And if you look at the BSB Ducatis, I've actually got the wings on their Panigales, the new V4s.
Oh, they're lovely.
So yeah, I mean it's passing down to the road bikes.
I've got my paper mache kit ready for my fairings for the TT. I'm just get me barbed wire out, get the sun out, page 3 like that, going bap straight down the road.
Spot on. Well, I tell you what. Other than the Ducati talking point, I tell you what. Last episode or the episode before, when we were talking about making an arse of ourselves, and I was saying about when I stalled on my first ever BSB race, and
I started hitting panic buttons.
Having a laugh about it. Well, Fabio Quartararo he's 19 years old.
Aye.
His first chance in MotoGP. He'd had an unbelievable qualifying. He'd out-qualified Lorenzo, Valentino Rossi. There was like loads of top riders, and what did he do? Got to the grid for the warm-up lap. Everyone else pulled away, and he stalled it. But obviously, you can't just fire it straight over. So he had to start from pit lane. What a disappointing start. However, what was nothing other than unbelievable. So he didn't get a chance to scrub his tyres in. He was sat there with cold, dusty tyres. He followed the pack out of turn 1, got his tyres up to temperature. Then he started lapping more than a second a lap faster than anyone else on the track. He was catching the leader by some laps. He was catching the leader by 1.4 seconds a lap. He did the fastest lap of the race. Okay, so that's not like chasing someone down for the win or things. That's trying to catch up last position, and I think he did end up crashing in the end.
Wait, at that kind of pace.
Yeah, you'd
Jesus.
expect. But hats off to the kid, and I think that in itself just shows what a talent he is and exactly what's coming. I think the rest of the grid will be probably
How can they not look at that and go,
it is impressive. Whatever way you dress it up, it is unbelievably impressive. And
you're not wrong.
Although it's one of those things, at the time he probably thinks it's the worst thing ever that he stalled and he's missed out on the opportunity. It's probably something that he's going to look back on when he's world champion, like a few years down the line, and have a laugh about. His first ever. Hey, we'll try and get him on chasing the racing one day and have a big crack.
We'll get him on, man. They'll all come to us eventually. They'll all come to us. Mate, Chrissy, we're having an awesome show, and I tell you what, we're not half ticking on with time, mind, are we?
That's it. So sorry, just before we finish.
Sorry, there's lots of sorries in this one here.
The BSB have been out testing today. So
yes, I
think they're all spread out a little bit. So some of them are at Cartagena, some of them are at Monte Blanco. Have you ever been over to Spain to do any of the testing?
Look at this tan. I look like a bloody Irish vampire, man. You know what I mean? There's not a bit of sunshine here. It's tree sap or nothing. No, I don't think I've ever even been to Spain. Never mind. Lucky track day goers.
I will. Like I said, they're all split up, but the official testing people, TSL timing, were at Monte Blanco, so we can sort of track times on that. A lot of the top lads are there. Xavier Forés was fastest in the AM session. And then Scott Redden topped the PM session and the overall session. So
all right, Redden's on top.
Yeah, first sort of draw goes to Redden. Obviously, It's not a track the race at. And
no.
Pre-season testing, it's very, you
Keep
can't
your powder dry
situation. You can't extrapolate too much from, the pre-season testing. If you look at the last few years, you usually see Luke Mossey and Danny Buchan as the fastest at Cartagena usually, and then when it comes to the first round, it's not necessarily them two, 1 and 2. But yeah, I mean, it's still interesting to see the times. Ryan Vickers has made a pretty good start. I think he finished about 14th, not too far behind.
Hey, good lad, good lad.
Did you see the new OMG bikes?
Nah.
No, so they did it like a sort of men in black, like men in suits, and basically the three lads. So there's Luke Mossey and Josh Elliott in the superbikes, and then Billy McConnell in the superstock, and they've all got the same design but just different colours. So you've got, I think, Billy's yellow, Luke Mossey's like a light blue, and Josh Elliott's pink, but they all got pictures with like suits and matching ties and stuff that looks kind of cool. But I think that's us about done. Just before we wrap up, the last episode that we ran a little competition it was sort of sponsored by NGK, and we had 10 lovely snapbacks to give away. So
ears in or ears out? We didn't actually get a proper answer on that.
No,
but I think you look like a tit if you took your ears in. That's my opinion. There you go.
So if we go over to the Twitter
and start scrolling, my boy, start scrolling.
Just fire away. So we want 10 names.
Right. Well, I'm going to pick the first one. I'm going to hand the phone over to you, and the first one is Andy Taylor.
You go on. You just read them out.
Right. It's my responsibility then.
All right. I'll let you take
99 retweets.
I've got to say,
99 retweets.
Thanks so much to everyone that retweeted, and obviously 19, like almost 100 retweets with 10 caps. You've got a 1 in 10 chance of winning the cap.
So. We're never going to get them. Right, so number 1, we have Andy Taylor. Next down, number 2, Wee Man. Oh, he's a good lad. See, there's another one. Another good lad. We have Shirley Kernan. There we are. Next, another lovely woman. Nikki Duff. Oh, should I be allowed to do this? Yeah, I'm going for it. Marty Rousset. Yeah, he's getting a hat. He'd love a hat. He'd look better, like, especially going round Durham stealing things. He needs the hat. He needs the hat. Right. Next, we've got Isla here from Scott Physio from the Isle of Man TT there. She's very handsy. Her and the team, they get rubbed down. It's good crack.
Is that the physio from Cumbria? Could be.
This is terrible. I should know this. I just know it's Isla. She lives in the Isle of Man. She's from Peel. But they could be from Cumbria. I don't know. Right, anyway, back to it. We have number 7. We're going to go with Jamie Ord. Number 8, Bex Liberty. And number 9, TTSC Pete. Oh, and number 10. I have... Hold on. Sorry, my phone's crashed. Twitter's gone down. Hey, you couldn't write this. You could not write this. That's terrible. Here, Chris, you're going to have to help us out. Talk about something, Chrissy. Talk about something. Talk about something, for God's sake, please.
Well, before we wrap up, Obviously we'll announce the final cap once Dom's
when
Twitter's
Twitter works up again.
rejigs. And just before we wrap up, I'll just want to say that I'm going to be testing. So I've got my first run out on my new Morello Kawasaki on Saturday down at Mallory Park. So I'm looking forward to getting out. First time I've been on a bike for absolutely ages. So hopefully the weather's kind to us and we'll get out and spin some laps. And yeah, if anyone's in the local area, if you want to pop in and say hello, we'll be there all day Saturday.
Twitter's back. Joanne Mackman, number 10.
Spot on. Well done. Thanks for another good podcast. And
Thank you to our guest, Maria Costello.
huge thanks to our guest, Maria Costello. And a huge thanks to our sponsor, Shane Austin from www.track-toys.net. So track-toys.net. So if you want to check out some loads of quality bikes, head over to that website. Dom, have you got something to say?
No, just thank you to all our listeners yet again. We're on number 9. It's hard to believe.
Number 9.
Number 9, Brian. Number 9.
Have you got a name? Have you got a name for the podcast? Balls deep.
Balls deep. I like that. I think we're definitely not going to do a competition about that anyway. There we go. But no, we'll have to think of something for next time. You know, like we say, we're winging it. We're loving it. It's grand. But no,
we'll have a mint week and we'll catch up next week. See you in a bit,
too,
mate.
Chrissy. Cheers, mate. See you in a bit. Bye.
Bye.